Hi everyone, I'm Beth Syverson, and I'm here to talk about that first section in the 20-minute guide. The first section we're going to talk about is about behaviors and reinforcing behaviors. And just a little bit about myself. I have an 18-year-old son, Joey, and he's struggled with addiction and mental health issues for several years. He's still in the middle of the struggle, but he has some insights, and our relationship has improved greatly since reading this book and using these tools. So I hope what I have to say will help you a little bit. This chart is in this 20-minute guide. Behaviors lead to reinforcement or no reinforcement, and the behaviors that get reinforced get repeated. Plain and simple. And this goes for not only addictive behaviors, but really any behavior that's repeated. If you want someone to do something again, reinforce it. If you want them to cut it out, then don't reinforce it. Okay, so I have made a little chart along with this about something very neutral to just teach the concept of this. Making dinner. This is my neutral version of this behavior model. I love to make dinner, and I make it almost every night, and I love the whole process. And here are the ways I get reinforced by making dinner. I get compliments from my wife every single night that I cook. She loves my food. I don't really know why, because it's nothing fancy or special, but she just loves the way I cook. So every night I get rewarded with compliments. And I almost always have leftovers, so lunches are super easy when I cook because I always have something left over for the next day. And I make really healthy food, so it makes me feel like I'm doing something nice for my family, that we're improving our health by eating well. And I enjoy it. I love chopping. I love thinking about what to make. I love making the grocery list, and I just enjoy the whole thing, except for the cleanup. But see how I'm getting reinforced for that. And so I do it almost every night joyfully. Oh, one other thing I didn't write is when I'm making the dinners, I'm often listening to podcasts or daydreaming or listening to music. So it's kind of a little meditative time for me as well. Another way of reinforcing. So I continue making dinner almost every night because that behavior is getting reinforced. Now, what would happen if it was not reinforced? Let me add, if my wife criticized me every night, I probably would slow down on my cooking if I wasn't very good at kind of managing my leftovers, or if I food poisoned ourselves a bunch of times, or if I made really unhealthy food that made me feel bad, I might not want to cook so much. And if I just hated cooking, I probably would not be making dinner so much if it didn't give me that positive reward. So we would be getting more takeout dinner if I was not getting reinforced for that behavior. Okay, so that's a very neutral behavior. You could probably think of something else in your life that's neutral that you do. You go to work, you practice your hobby, or whatever, anything that you do. Watching TV might be a behavior that gets reinforced. It gives you relaxation or entertainment, laughing, time with your family, that kind of thing. I would encourage you to kind of run one of these charts with something very neutral, not charged at all, or nothing about your kid at this point, just to get used to this chart and pay attention as you go throughout your day. What behaviors do you continue to do that are reinforced? Okay, now let's do one for using substances, and this will be about my son. He primarily uses cannabis at this point, but in the past he's used alcohol, cough medicine that the kids take in very large doses, psychedelics, benzos. He's done almost everything, but right now just primarily cannabis. But let's talk about what he was reinforced, what things were reinforcing his behavior. The primary reason he started to use was for community. Have you ever heard that the opposite of addiction is connection? Well, he got connection when he started using substances. My son is adopted from Japan, and I'm white, obviously, and his dad, his adoptive father, is Japanese American, but I'm not. And we went to a very white school, and he got bullied every single day for being Asian. And I didn't realize it until it was too late. But so guess who he started using substances with? The Asian kids. he found this group of Asian kids. They were all getting bullied and treated really badly. And so his Asian friend said, "Here, come join us first, and then here, this is what we do over here." And he's like, "Oh, all right, I guess I'll do what they do because I want to be in this community." And um, Joey is particularly susceptible, I think, to addiction. His addiction is very strong. So perhaps some other kids could have tried it a few times and gone, okay, that's good. I don't need any more. But not him. He's like, oh, hello, I like that. And the second thing it gave him was relieving his emotional pain, which is really why he kept using it. Actually, both of these reasons is why he kept going. But the cannabis especially removed his emotional pain, at least while he was high. And he's like, yes, please, I want more of this. That is a good feeling. I love that feeling. As much as I can get it, I will continue doing that behavior. So those were the ways he was getting reinforced. And so he kept using, and the usage escalates inevitably. Cannabis, particularly, you get used to it, and then you need more and more and more, and then you're like, well, cannabis isn't really enough. I need to do more. So the behavior got reinforced over and over, and then the addiction starts to take over because you need more and more of it. And then what needs to happen at that point is that, oopsie, you need to have the behavior quit being reinforced for a person to want to stop, right? So I don't know if any of your kids have experienced their friends abandoning them or turning their back on them when they use too much, or if they get too deep. They're like, oh, I'm not dealing with this anymore. And my son's lost several groups of friends. So the isolation is a bad thing that he would not want. And also the bad consequences, almost failing school, the getting in trouble, the stealing, all the, I don't need to tell you guys what the bad consequences are. So those are the things that will not reinforce the behavior. And eventually the hope is that they will quit, or at least slow down, or use harm reduction techniques to slow down their usage. So this is the key to this whole operation, the way that parents can help their child. You can't force them or convince them, but you can help them to want to stop by quitting to reinforce their behavior, or by reinforcing better behavior. For instance, if you see that my son was trying to remove emotional pain and gain community, okay, well then we found him a really good therapist that helps him deal with his deep trauma, primarily from his adoption. And we also, it's not working very well right now, but in the past we found other communities for him to be with, a band or with support groups or whatever. So you try to replace that reinforcement that he's getting from the bad thing and reinforce, find what is it that he's looking for, what is he trying to get out of it, what is the positive thing he's trying to get out of the drugs, and find a more safe alternative. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Now I would like to show you a video. This is like a video in a video. A video that my son and I made a couple of weeks ago when I did a webinar. And he came on, like I said, he's still in relapse mode, but he was lucid at this point in time when he was talking. And he and I are able to talk quite frankly about his addiction, what he needs, what he's realized over the course of time. So I'm just going to play this video for you, and then when that's done, my section is over. And thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you all at the next workshop.
Yeah, that's what I think really needs to be known, is that it's not the drug, like let's say a drug addict, it's not because they want to make you mad they're doing the drugs. It's literally because trauma and they're wanting to be okay,
Yeah.
rather than, it's not to hurt anyone else. That's not the intention. If it does hurt anyone else, and if they do consciously make that choice to hurt someone, it stems from hurt and trauma. That's what I believe.
Yeah. So when you picked up your first substance, you weren't saying, "Oh, let me really piss off my parents right now."
No, I probably knew that I knew it was like a bad thing to do. I obviously knew that when doing it, but I wasn't intending to hurt. I was being a naive teen for that, but it was I knew it was going to take something away because I've been doing nicotine before. So I was like, okay, this is going to take some stuff away. Might as well do it.
Some pain away, right?
Yeah, some pain away. Exactly.
So you're like, I need something to take away this uncomfortable feeling, and I know that nicotine works, so I'm going to try cannabis. And
With the risk of hurting my parents, I knew that, but it's worth that rush.
yeah, you knew that you might get in trouble and that it might piss us off, but that's not why you did it. You did it to ease your pain and to cope with whatever. It's like a
Yeah.
coping mechanism.
Yeah. So I did it essentially knowing that I might be grounded or something, but it was the pain was so bad I didn't care about that.
Yeah, yeah. I really want people to hear this because I think a lot of parents take it personally or think that their kid is trying to be a goof up or trying to make everyone's lives difficult, but
Hmm.
they're trying to cope using and then some kids are not going to get hooked. Some kids are going to try and go, well, that was terrible, or well, oh, well, I can. But then some kids are more susceptible or take it longer and then they get hooked and then you're kind of in this cycle. But it's not that you're trying to ruin your life or ruin anyone's life. It's
No.
just you're trying to actually help yourself. It's like a kind of a backwards way to try to make things better, but it doesn't
It's
make
like I don't know how it's like a double-edged sword. If that's the analogy, it's like you or you doing something to help yourself in turn hurting yourself in the same time.
yeah, right. And at the beginning, the helping part is
Way
strong.
bigger.
Yeah,
It's way stronger.
yeah,
But in the end, when it comes to, like, let's say like marijuana, it doesn't work anymore, and it just makes you stressed and it makes you ashamed that you're doing something that's not you're not supposed to do. You know?
yeah. And then you have to take more and more of it because it doesn't
Hmm.
have the same effect. And then you say, what else is
What
out there?
exactly? It's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
cycle.
yeah. Well, I really think that you coming on here and talking will help other people because we don't often hear from the people who are addicted. You're sort of like over there somewhere. It's them, us and them, right? And
Mhm.
it's really important for me to have your voice be heard, and that's why I talk openly about my addiction too. It's not like we're that different. It's like I totally get it. I
Yeah.
totally remember that pull of food all the time, calling my name.
Yes.
Calling my name. Yeah.